Hi guys, Ryan here. Today I want to talk about power meters, and more specifically my favorite power meter to date, which is the Quarq DZero SRAM Red power meter crank. So first, why do I like this crank, and why do I recommend basically everyone that I talk to get one of these? The first thing is it's a Quarq. It's been around for 10 years. This is the latest version, the most refined. It has all the features you'd expect from a modern power meter, so N+, Bluetooth, smartphone compatibility. You can update the firmware, you can reset the zero offset through your smartphone. You can do simultaneous Bluetooth and N+ recording, and you get a user serviceable battery. You got good waterproofing, good precision, good accuracy, so everything you need in a quite compact, lightweight spider package. So this is how the unit looks itself when you get it in a box. You can have it with different crank arm options, you can have a Shimano version, etc. Now this is a standard SRAM red crank that I'm going to use on a customer build in a week or so, but the power meter is already here, and I already have 3 of these on my own bike. So one on the road bike, one on the cross bike, one on the time trial bike, up on the trainer. And this season I have sold around 10 units of these in different permutations, and there are really a lot of them. So you can get crank arms from 162.5 up to 177.5, so a good range there. You can have a GXP spindle like I have here, which is the standard small diameter one, and you can get a BB30 oversized aluminum spindle, which is arguably a better option if your crank does fit it, or if your bike does fit those. And it also, the BB30 version also fits the 386 crank standard, so it's a bit of a longer crank arm. It fits the Cannondale, it fits the Specialized, any bike you want really, you can put it on there. So there are things I don't like about this type of crank. So it isn't really specific to Quarq, because they also have a Shimano version, but I don't like that SRAM still use the differentiation between both patterns. So you still get the standard cranks with 130mm and the compacts 110mm. I would really prefer to have just 110 and get all kinds of chain rings for those. Like this, it's a bit more complicated, and there's a tiny bit of complication with the GXP standard as well, because it's not as universal, because most bikes come nowadays with Shimano cranks, and those are 24mm all the way around. Now the GXP standard is 24mm on the drive side and 22mm on the non-drive side, so you need to get an adapter for that. It's not a very hard fix, but still, I don't know what's the point really. It could have been 24mm all the way through, and it would be much easier, but never mind that. Weight-wise, it's not as light as a Stages or 4i or some other external strain gauge installed thing, but I think it's a much better option and much better design when we've got the whole thing encapsulated at the crank, and it really doesn't matter how you apply the power or what you do with the cranks, as long as the power is going through the chain rings and stressing the spider. It's always going to measure correctly. You can even adjust some more specific options, like you can change the rotation, how the power is measured. So for example, if you put this on a hand cycle, it will still work perfectly. So these are the positives and my observations. As I said, I have sold quite a lot of these units and everyone was very pleasantly surprised with these. And all of them are running fine, no water leakage, no damage whatsoever. The only person that had a problem with one of these units is actually me, and it was the one on my time trial bike. So I'm going to show you how to remedy that. It's quite an easy fix. It's also on the Quarq website, but still, I just wanted to point out it's quite easy to fix. So at one of my time trials I have done this season, I got an error message from a Garmin where it couldn't reset the zero offset on my Quarq. So I was for first I was quite scared because I thought my unit is dead, and that wouldn't be a problem because they have good customer support, but the problem is that you have to wait quite a lot for one of these, or at least where I live that's the case. So normally you can just turn on the crank by spinning it backwards. If you spin it backwards 5 times, then it also does an automatic zero reset. But in my case that didn't work. So the actual reason for that I'm going to show you on this version. So if you undo the little cap that covers the battery, it has a very solid O-ring, by the way, so no fear of water ingress. Yeah, there's the battery out. Make sure you, as you can see, I have touched it, so there's a smudge on it, and that is not ideal for having good contact on there, so I will need to clean that if I were to put it back on. So that's one thing that can cause you problems. And then the problem I had was, for some reason, for some kind of strange vibration that my time trial bike is experiencing, this tiny little screw that holds basically the preload plate of the battery keeps getting loose on that power meter. And if it gets a little bit loose, then it starts to, well, the contact breaks between the battery and between the unit itself, so it's losing power. And that causes, at first it causes erratic readings, and then it stops reading at all. So quick fix, well, quick if you know what to look for, obviously. This is a 2mm Allen key bolt. You just tighten it up a tiny amount. It's a small bolt, so 2 Newton meters I think is all it needs, and then you're good to go again. So maybe, perhaps, if you're heading up to a very important event, make sure to check your battery and perhaps check the tightness of this bolt as well, so you don't get an awkward surprise at the start. Otherwise, battery life is excellent, around 200 hours, so in my experience, so pretty much that's what they claim. Okay, so this was a quick overview of the Quarq DZero unit, which I have been using for over a year now, more than 10,000 kilometers on it, and so far I'm really happy with that. Now if you'd like to see more about the other components on my bikes, wheel set reviews and so on, then don't forget to tune into my channel and subscribe. It's all for today. Thanks for watching and see you next time.